Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Angela Rahm, and today we're going to address MTHFR and autoimmune and what to do. All right, so if you found this video, most likely you're somewhat aware of MTHFR and autoimmune. So let's just get to it. If you're not living an energetic, pain-free life, you have to look at two key things: proper blood testing and genetic testing. So MTHFR, we know, is a genetic mutation. We know that up to 80% of the population has some level of this. And if you have one of these genetic SNPs related to MTHFR, it could be the #1 place for you to start. And you can simply get this test for between $130 to $240, depending if we test other markers. So very inexpensive and necessary to do. Autoimmune, it's when your body immune system is attacking a gland, a system, organs in the body. And unfortunately, really the medical field, their kind of way to deal with this is to get you on meds, right? And we know that's not the answer because those symptoms still are there, even after you take meds. So we can negate these symptoms if you test correctly and take the right action steps through lifestyle modifications, diet, proper diet, supplementation, knowing what your triggers are that bring on these autoimmune flares or that bring on a genetic kind of mutation that kicks it into high gear. And unfortunately, so many people like you who are struggling with their health, they're chasing symptoms. They're addressing them with what they think a healthy diet is, or the right supplements that they've maybe been told by a friend or a YouTuber they saw, or maybe just going around on Facebook for MTHFR pages. But here's the thing, they are all guessing because it really is individualized and you have to address it as that. So you might get some relief, and other times you're going to find yourself kind of cycling right back to where you are. My story is I dealt with this with my son. He was age 11. He's in his late 20s now, but nobody could find out what was going on. Turned out he ended up having Lyme's disease. And so it took years to figure out really how to best maneuver around that. I ended up going back to school, and I hope with all that I learned and paying thousands and thousands of dollars every month for his care, I hope to bring you insight and speed up your process in getting you feeling great again. So if you have things like brain fog, pain, depression, gut problems, which are really bad right now, exhaustion, and certainly weight issues, right? We all want to lose, 20 pounds in a month. And, unfortunately, there are no shortcuts because that weight will come back if not addressed appropriately. So we want to know, like, yes, these are serious symptoms and we want to know how to deal with them, but we need to proceed with the idea and the mindset that let's get to the root of why these things aren't great and why these things are out of whack. So I don't know if this has happened to you, but if you've gone to your doctor and you run a bunch of tests and you spent all this money and then you get a call saying everything looks good. Well, I guarantee the answers are hiding in your labs. And there's probably some tests your doctor didn't run. But generally speaking, they're looking for the triage care, right? They're looking for the things that are so out of whack that they can justify doing a surgery or giving you a medication. Okay, so with that said, this whole process and testing and all of that doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars, spending thousands a month. You don't have to do that. So the best thing to do is get on a discovery call with me and do this initial intake form. And we'll discuss in that form, like what would be the best test for you to get done. And then depending on your insurance and your doctor, you may be able to get what you need through them. With me, I don't upcharge for labs. I use LabCorp. I'm working on a couple other labs as well, but you just pay what my lab cost is. But honestly, you need to have the full picture. You need to see what all the moving parts are. Also, lab ranges, from the blood work that you will have will almost always look normal because here's an aha moment. Labs, they base their ranges off of the results of those getting labs at that facility. Okay, so meaning you're put in a bell curve. So if you don't feel great, maybe fatigue, hair thinning, you can't lose weight, unfortunately, there are people going to that facility and they've got cancer, they've got diabetes, they've got all heart disease, they've got all these things. So you're going to be put into a bell curve. So when you go in with these complaints, your doctor's going to be like, your labs look great, Why don't we try an antidepressant? I guarantee you there's going to be so many people that are watching this video that will say, oh my gosh, that's what they did for me. So they've got to give you something, right? I mean, you went there, they want you to feel better, and in their standard of care, medication is the answer. Okay, so now on the contrary, I run tests that will tell me different things. So I'm going to give you 10 bullet points here that I am looking for and to give you some things to think about. So 1, do you have a hidden infection? Because if you have a chronic or acute infection, it definitely is going to be hindering your thyroid, which could be hindering your whole, hormones in general. And if you have an infection, what kind of infection? I guarantee your doctor will be like, unless numbers are completely exploding off of the page, they won't know. They'll be like, you seem fine, you don't have an infection. So it takes a trained eye to really dig a little bit deeper. Number 2, do they run a full iron panel? You could have normal or high levels even of serum or ferritin iron, and you could still not be getting iron into the cell. So do they run a full iron panel and look at all of the different components? Do they run TSH and tell you that, well, your thyroid looks good or your thyroid looks bad? Note to self, TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone, and it comes from the pituitary. It's not even your thyroid. So you really need to make sure you have your full thyroid panel ran. And what are they going to do? They just prescribe T4, which T4 may not be what you may be producing plenty of T4. We need to find out why the thyroid is or isn't working. All right, so you can fix that easily, but you have to know how it's operating. All right, number 4, are they testing fasting insulin? So do you know you could have your fasting glucose and your A1C could be looking perfect, but your fasting insulin, that's a true indicator of your metabolic health. So you could have fasting insulin right now that would be super high, and you don't even know it because they don't test it. You may not feel it. And that needs to be addressed, or you're going to end up with a diagnosis that you're not going to like. And just for the record, type 3 diabetes in every country but the US, and it's soon to be coming. Practitioners are talking more about it, so doctors are going to have to acknowledge it. But type 3 diabetes is actually Alzheimer's / dementia. All right, number 5, homocysteine. Like, we need to test this because we want to make sure, has inflammation run amok? It is the premier test for inflammation. That's going to affect your thyroid. It's going to affect your cholesterol. It's going to affect so many things. So we need to get that under address, and it's easy to take care of once we know what we're dealing with. 6, are they testing vitamin D? Most doctors don't. I would say maybe 20% of doctors will actually run a vitamin D test, but every cell needs it. There's a better time of day to take it, might surprise you, and you need to make sure you're taking a quality vitamin D supplement. Number 7, have you ever had an MTHFR genetic test? If you have not, this is one of the first places you need to start, because we know up to 80% of the population most likely has some version of this. And if you have some version of it, how bad is it? And then you need to do certain things. You absolutely will have trouble getting rid of toxins, waste, and processing nutrients at the cell level. This one test could hold the answers to why you feel like crap. So we need to have that done. 8, do you need a gentle detox to clean up the liver so your hormones work better, your skin looks more vibrant, lung issues, sleep issues, weight issues? This is very important because we're pounded with all of these toxins and chemicals and stress and all that 24/7. Number 9, understanding that not all supplements are good, and not all supplements are safe, and not all are good for you. So most doctors, just so you know, get about 6,000 plus hours of education in the medical school. Less than 20 hours of elective nutrition, and that's only in about 28% of the schools that even have it as an elective. So here's the deal. Doctors don't get paid to sell natural supplements. Natural can't be patented. So you kind of follow the money trail, and you can see why it's always prescriptions, right? Number 10. All right, full blood panels. These are things that you definitely want to make sure you're addressing. If you're working with a practitioner, full blood panel, you want CBC with differential, you want lipid, You want a comprehensive metabolic panel with fasting insulin, fasting glucose, A1C. You want vitamin D. You want homocysteine. You want a complete thyroid, T4, T3, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, TPO, AB antibodies. You want these all done, and full iron panel. And you want to make sure also you're getting the MTHFR swab. It's a genetic test. And so we have that. You can get that for as low as like $130. And depending if you want to add on some other things, you can get it for under $250. I mean, most people it's like $230. So getting these things done is step one. Now, step two, really, it's just working with a professional that specializes in understanding these lab markers, playing detective, putting the pieces together so you have a full idea of what is going on in your body. And then now what do you do to start reversing some of these things and so that you feel more optimal? So if you want a plan that makes sense and it's not going to break your bank, that's easy to follow. All you got to do is click the link below, schedule your 45-minute discovery call with me. It's only $97. Once you schedule your call, email me at drangelaram@gmail.com and just give me a bullet point list of any additional information that maybe didn't have space to put into the intake that you got when you clicked the link. And I am super excited to help you get you back. And it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to start. So I hope to talk to you soon.